So what does your company do?
So Napkin Labs provides tools for companies to create rich customer communities for market research. So essentially the insight we're built off of is, companies are consistently starved for insights about their customers. Meanwhile, they have 100 or 1,000 or even millions of followers on Facebook and Twitter. So we're trying to provide solutions so companies can funnel some of those users in and actually engage them to create new ideas, create insights that help accelerate their product development cycles.
So basically online focus groups?
Yeah, it has a flavor of online focus groups. A lot of what we're trying to do, we used to work at agencies, so trying to remove a lot of the physical barriers to research, but then also providing a library of tools that people can use to engage their customers to learn different things. So not everyone's an expert in getting insights out of their customers, so we can provide sort of an app store for them to post different things.
And so what are the key kind of challenges you're facing right now?
So we've obviously got a lot of challenges. I think some of the ones that that are really top of mind for us right now are first of all just being located in Boulder. It's a perfect place for building a company at the early stages, but we've seen some companies that have stayed and built great businesses, other companies that have left for San Francisco, other places that seem to have more opportunity. So one of the things we're playing around with is Boulder the right place? Do we need to be closer to some of the VCs that exist elsewhere? Is location really important?
So we funded a few companies in Boulder. Simple Geo is a company that we funded in Boulder, and they moved to San Fran. But GNIP is another company that actually started in San Fran and moved to Boulder and stayed there. I'm not sure it makes sense to move to be near a VC.
Yeah.
I don't think you move to sort of be near a VC.
To get away from the VC.
I think if you're sitting, and so I wouldn't be moving, proactively. I think you tend to move if you're finding that you're starved for talent, if you're not able to hire to fill the positions at the right levels. We funded companies all over the country. We've had some great companies that started in New Haven and Pittsburgh, and in some cases they said, you know what, in order to sort of grow past 20 or 30 employees, in order to grow past 20 or 30 employees, we need to move to New York or to San Francisco. But other ones have really thrived. I mean, look at Trada and Boulder; they're doing great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it also depends. I mean, if it's to be near your customers, for example, another option is to have like a sales office or something. Like, for example, we're both involved in a company, ScanScout, which is now part of Tremor, which started in Boston. They decided they needed some sales resources in New York, and they sort of now work out of both offices, and I think it's worked quite well for them, right?
Yeah, I agree, but don't move for your VC.
Yeah. Well, related to that question, I'm curious, with some of the companies that are in San Francisco, do you find that given their stage, they have trouble finding talent just because it's such a competitive market? I've read a few blogs, few articles about how much it's heating up between Google and Facebook and just everything that they're awarding people. So I'm just wondering, is it actually an advantage to stay more sheltered, or for some of your portfolio companies, do they have an easy time getting talent?
I wouldn't say there's an easy time anywhere. Yeah. Unfortunately, the problem is, I don't know if the world is flat, but the country is. So Google and Facebook are competing for talent, not just in the Valley, but they're importing talent all over the place.
Yeah.
Is it hyper competitive to, for top employees in the Valley? Of course it is, but my sense is it's going to be just as competitive in Boulder as well.
Yeah. Great. Well, I think another thing that we're looking at is raising another round of funding, which is always on your mind. And we've heard a lot of advice. Been reading a lot about now's the time. It's a great climate. Raise as much as you can, even more than you're comfortable with. But it seems like some of that advice sets you up for short-term success, long-term failure. And so we're really trying to focus on meeting some key milestones and putting that off a little bit. I'm just wondering if that's the right thing to do, or if we should, just go out there and get our hands dirty, or if it's better to take our time, meet the milestones we're trying to hit, and then go out.
I mean, so you sort of have two forces at work, right? You have your own internal sort of your company success, and then you have these macro trends of sort of the financing environment. And I would say that the macro trends, I can't predict the future, but I don't think they can get worse. So there definitely it is. So, for example, I don't know the details about what milestones you're trying to hit and how much your runway you have and things, but I do think there's a way to sort of do, I'd be curious about your opinion on this, to sort of do a very focused kind of testing of the market. So maybe talk to 3 or 4 targeted VCs.
Yeah.
Hopefully your existing investors can help you decide who those are without getting too far, spending too much time on it, and just sort of get a sense of it, because you're sort of making a trade-off. You may hit these milestones and the financing environment gets worse, and then suddenly you find yourself in a difficult situation.
No, I agree. I think I also don't think fundraising is a process that kind of is silent and then a year and a half later comes out. I think you're probably in dialogue at some level with investors throughout. And my sense is it probably makes sense to have a handful of just conversations, test the appetite and responsiveness of investors. It sounds like you're being really prudent to sort of manage the cap table to make sure that you're not creating downstream problems.
If nothing else, by talking to them, you'll get feedback on what milestones they'd like to see down the road, right? I mean,
we do that a lot with oftentimes with our companies. Shortly after we fund them, we'll take them to 1 or 2 VCs that we know and trust and have worked with, mainly to sort of let them get input and feedback, and to understand sort of what they're going to be needed to hit, what milestones they're going to need to hit in the next round.
Interesting. So as an entrepreneur, knowing you're not quite ready, but wanting to sort of feel out the waters, how best to approach you guys and not, I mean, obviously we don't want to waste your time just saying, we're not ready yet, but we want to have these conversations to feel out the relationship.
Sounds perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of investors, I mean, if you're a credible entrepreneur, a lot of investors just want to kind of get to know you. And Mark Suster has an excellent blog post about investing in lines and not dots or whatever. I think investors feel that way, and entrepreneurs should, because it's raising money is like, taking a new investor on is like taking a new co-founder on. It's like it's a very, it's a big decision, and one that the more time you have to think about, the better.
Yeah. And I think that the more you, if you're able to have conversation early on, most investors will tell you that they want to meet with a company before they're raising money. They want to get to know you before you're raising money. So being able to, just being transparent and being and straightforward and saying, look, we're not sure if we're ready to raise money yet, but want to sort of get to know you better, get you to know the company, and hear what your thoughts are in terms of what you'd be looking for. Perfect conversation to have with them.
I think that makes a ton of sense. I think often as an entrepreneur, you try and put on your perfect face for those meetings, and not want to say, I don't know if we're ready, we're not sure where we are necessarily, what are you guys looking for in terms of milestones. Sometimes it doesn't feel like the right conversation, but it's good to hear that that's actually a better way to start the relationship.
Okay, well, we're actually out of time, but thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys for the opportunity.